There are many flavors of Outlook. Using the Outlook web app, that's like strawberry. Let me explain. We have Office programs, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Outlook that have been on your computer. Then we have browser-based versions free of those things. Like if you use personal email, you may use Outlook.com. That's the reinvention of what Hotmail was. Business users will use Outlook web app. And that's what we're going to show today. Now, that, like strawberry, comes in many different flavors. I kind of like the strawberry chunks in there. Okay, I'll stop using that analogy. There are many different versions of the Outlook web app. You may be using an OA for iPhone or iPad. We'll be showing that later. Or you may be using Office 365 or another. Some people use Office 365. That's what I'm going to show here today, and that's what you're going to be seeing here. Now also, your Office 365 may look different because admins set it up a little differently, but the gist will be about the same for everything here. I'm looking here at, this is, again, email in a browser. I'm using Internet Explorer. You can use any updated browser, Firefox, Safari, Chrome, all that you can use with the Outlook web app. Now, because I'm in a browser, there's a few things I can use right away. One is if I need to go back, I can always use the back button. And then now, this display is pretty small. So what I can do is actually go over to the Internet Explorer options, which in this version are right here in the right-hand corner, the tools. Click on that, and then I can zoom this to whatever is comfortable for me. So I can make it 150%. That's a little big, so let me actually usually work it here at 125. So again, you can use those browser tools to get set up the way you want to. Also, if you right-click on a blank space, you can use your right-click menu if you use that for your browser. But with Outlook web app, if you click on something that triggers the menu just for the inbox here, so I can delete, flag, move things like that. Also, let's look at a couple other things. A lot of times I want to, if I'm using Outlook web app, I want to have a different one open to browse. So the way to get a second browser going, there's a couple different ways, but if you just right-click on the icon here in the system tray, you can fire up another browser. So this is the one I'll do my browsing and my work on, and then I'll click back and forth, and that's where this shortcut, it's Alt plus the Tab key, can go between all your windows that are open. Alt plus Tab. So that's a couple things with a browser. Again, if you use Chrome or Firefox, there's some other different things you can use. Now, when will you use the Outlook web app? Now, some versions of Office 365, they just use all the online versions. But when I started using it, it was just when I was on other computers. So you can sign in from any computer and use the Outlook web app that's your company's email and calendar. So a lot of times if you're in a meeting that someone else, you borrow their computer, or you're at a conference and you use a kiosk, or you're at the business center and you're like printing out your boarding pass, you can check your email there if you don't have your mobile device. We'll show a little bit about OA for iPhone and iPad a little later, but I'm going to concentrate here on this desktop, or the browser-based version here for the Outlook web app. So I'm not going to show you everything here. I mean, you've seen email before. I have folders here on the left-hand side. I have an inbox, and then I have my reading pane, and you can set it up. We'll show settings here in just a minute. A couple things that I want to show you that are new for the Outlook web app, and in fact, we know this is new because over here on the people side, it says new. See, we kind of showed it. This is a service. You're going to get updates all the time, as you do with things like Word Online and PowerPoint Online. New features will pop up and roll out to everyone. So the people that you've been working with just kind of pop up here, and you can get to them a little quicker. I'll show you that in just a second. The other thing is how attachments are used in the Outlook web app. Now, this feature is only in the Outlook web app at this time. Now, I would think it would roll out. I don't know that. But it's only in the Outlook web app right now, which is nice. If I click on this attachment, this is what happens. It actually opens it up in the Outlook web app on Word Online. It opens up a copy that I can read. So here on the right-hand side is this message from Zarinka, and I can read that, and in context, scroll down, and read the document. I can even click on various comments if I want to, and read those using Word Online. It's all in the same window. It just opens up automatically. If I want to, I can edit a copy here at the top, and edit a copy in Word Online. So that's how it deals with attachments in the Outlook web app. That was a new feature that just popped up here in the last few weeks. A couple other things that you can use that are in Outlook web app. Now, if your company is using an older version, maybe it's Outlook 2010, you might want to use the Outlook web app because you're going to see some new features because it has the updated features. For example here, if I click on this message, in Outlook 2013 and using the web app because the web app's up to date, it has this gray bar which is actually little apps inside of Outlook. So it kind of sniffs this email and sees that there might be an action item here. So it says that we have to review that. It has suggested meetings. You could set up a meeting because it looks like there's meeting text. This is my favorite, which is actually using Bing Maps. It looks at the address and gives you a Bing map that's a full map. So if I can use this right here and I can see what the parking lot will look like, where the meeting's going to be. But you can use those features in the Outlook web app and several of those new features that have popped up with the Outlook web app and Outlook 2013. With anything with Outlook, you get full calendar and using your contact information. That's up here in Outlook 365 here in this blue bar. So calendar is calendar, nothing really fancy here. You can, monthly view, weekly view. The sharing, though, is nice because you're doing that inside Office 365. It's not sharing to a general link someplace else. It's all within what we call the firewall. It's all protected in the Office 365 environment, so you can share your calendar that way, which is a nice feature for a lot of folks. And now, People is, I'll click on it just so you can see it. But with Outlook 2013 and the Outlook web app feature, I really never even go to the People area anymore, because anytime you have a contact information here, like I click on this message from Sarah, if I click on her name or her face here, I get that whole contact information right there. So I don't really have to go into contacts and look up Sarah and find the information. I can see where she is, I can see her office, she's in Tulsa, so I probably won't just pop on over. I might want to send an email, and there's buttons up here. I can send an email, I can set up a meeting, and if she's online, I could do an instant message here with the Outlook web app. If you have the kind of the link online that it's called, you can do conversations right there. So again, just click on any email that comes in from somebody and get that information with the People card. A great little feature. Another one I just need to show all the time, regardless, I mean, this is in the Outlook web app, but anytime you use Outlook, use search. Search will find you so many things, especially if you have tons and tons of email. For example, here, if I type in Bonnie, it's going to ask me, do I want to get messages from Bonnie Kearney? Do I want to look up those? Or I can just look up the word Bonnie in any email. It's like, God, there was an email and Bonnie's name was mentioned. It just kind of goes through all the email that has Bonnie or whatever word you type in for search. So search is such a great feature to use in Outlook and also the Outlook web app. Let's get a little bit into settings. We'll start off with some little minor ones, but there's a couple things that you want to do to set up your email when you get it in the Outlook web app. The settings is this little dial over here that you click on. There's several things here that you can work with. Set automatic replies. This is, I think, one of my favorite features with Outlook 2013. I mean, you've always been able to set out-of-office messages. Well, maybe not always, but it's been around for a long time. But now what you can do is set them up in advance. So if you know you're going on vacation by the end of the week, you could set this up now and set the replies to only go off when you want to. You set it up now and forget about it. That way you don't have to think that mad scramble when you're trying to get out of the office. You don't have to set your out-of-office email then. Another option is going to be working with the reading pane and other things like that. I prefer having this reading pane on the right-hand side, but you can change other options with the display settings. So there's several here that you can work with, including putting the reading pane on the bottom or turning the reading pane off. That's the one a lot of people like doing. And then one thing I always have to show is changing the theme. I never like the default, so I can go over here and find all these different themes. There's even a I have a bone to pick. Here there's a cat theme, but there's no dog theme. Just saying. But here, let me use this one. I liked Cubism here. I'll use it. So it just gives you a nice different look if you're into that, and I am. Now, one thing about you think about using a browser-based information. If you don't have an internet connection, you can't use it. Aha. With the Outlook web app, you can do email offline, but you have to set it up in advance. So if, let's say I'm going to the airport later today, I could do this now and it'd be set up to work. What you want to do is go into settings here, and there's a setting that's called offline settings. And what this will do, it steps you through a couple different things, and you can get some information, and it will ask you a few questions. And then what it does, it will set up and kind of look at your recent email and put that on your computer so you can get to it offline. So when you log in, even if you're offline, you can get your email, your most recent email. So I can unplug here, get on the airplane, don't sign in to get the free internet or the paid internet online, do my email, work on it there, and I can reply to email, create new email, and then when I get the hotel and plug into the internet, it will all just sync up. But you need to do this in advance. The reason we don't say it will look at a week's worth or a month's worth, it just matters how much email you have. I mean, if you have 15 emails a day, it's going to grab a couple days worth. If you have several hundred emails a day, it's not going to grab all of that. So it's going to be your most recent email, but you'll be able to write email offline with that. You just want to set it up. So again, that's under settings and offline settings here. One other thing to set up, let me do two things here. One thing is if you want to sign in and you forget, you don't have it bookmarked, or you go to a computer that doesn't have your internal links, and why should it? There's an easy way to remember how to log in. You just go to office.com, and this works for home, or if you have home email or business email, go to office.com, in the right-hand corner, click sign in, and use your credentials, and you can sign in. And get to your email that way. So remember office.com, sign in with either your home email for outlook.com or your business email for Office 365. One thing that we work on in advance is working with your documents and sending attachments. So if I was doing a new email and I was inserting an attachment, the Outlook web app just looks at this, what's called Windows Explorer or File Explorer. You want to set that up in advance so you can get your OneDrive information through there. Because a lot of times if you think of OneDrive and OneDrive for Business, it's this icon here in the upper right-hand corner. You click on it and you have your OneDrive materials. But it's hard, you can't kind of sync back and forth because you're in a web browser. But what you want to do on this page when you're in OneDrive for Business is right up here there's a sync button. You want to click that, and that will sync your library of documents with your computer. So they'll be in the File Explorer. It puts a little icon in that File Explorer. I'll show you that in just a second. So that's another thing you want to do in advance, is go to OneDrive and click the sync button and sync your documents, and it will just sync throughout, ways as you use documents. So when I want to do Outlook web app, I can do New Mail, Insert, Attachments, and then here is OneDrive for Microsoft. And I have all my documents there, and they just kind of sync up. You can see the little green dot. Actually, it's a little too small. Maybe you can't see it. So that's an important thing to do. Now, I don't have time to fire up my iPad right now and show you some of the things for the OWA, but there are apps for your iPhone, for iPad, and for selected Android devices. That was just announced a few weeks ago. But let me show you a couple screenshots quickly. Again, this is formulated to be OWA for iPad and OWA for iPhone are formulated to be to look great on. This is an iPad. Now those columns are kind of tight, so you can swipe things out of your way that you would not want to see, or just so you have a big reading pane. I put two pictures here. It just matters how, of course, you hold the iPad. This one you'd probably want to read vertically or horizontally. It will just format either way. And also, because there's no mouse, there's no right-click menu. You just simply swipe the name of the email here. You swipe with your finger, and then this icon's up here so you can delete, flag, move, or whatever you want with your email. It's set up very nicely, again, for OWA for iPhone, OWA for iPad, and Android devices. I have links to all that information, how to get those things on your iPads. They're free if you don't know. Plus all the stuff we talked about today, how to work offline, all of that at aka.ms/123OWA, OWA. You can get information there. The video will be up in a couple days. If you have want any more information about the Office webinar series in general, go to aka.ms/offweb to get links to previous webinars or register for future ones. Next week, Office turned 25 this month, if you didn't know. There's on Facebook and Twitter, there's been a campaign going on about people using the programs. We're going to show you the kind of the how-to they use those programs, so things that you'll be able to use. That's next week for the Office webinar, but for today's webinar team, thank you for joining today's Office 15-minute webinar.